Okay, I want to share some Saturn research with everybody since KJ made this awesome video. Thanks, by the way, man. This is great. And since NASA's talking about this, I want to talk about what Saturn and the cube and what this stuff really is here. I'm not an expert in this. I watch a researcher on here on YouTube, and I started verifying his research through my research, and he's always asking people to debunk him. I can't debunk him, and he basically says, this is really the most important thing that we could be talking about is exposing Saturn, not anything else. And I agree. This is because this is the root of everything. This Saturn, the planet Saturn, this cube, it comes back to every major religion, every major army, every time. I mean, it's pretty spooky, and I want to talk about it. I'm not asking you to believe me. Like I said, I just started learning about this a year and a half ago. I don't really understand all this, everything myself, but I want to try to talk about this at least a little bit and get it out there. I've taken this long as I'm not really feeling comfortable, but this guy's saying nobody else is talking about it, so I want to join and I want to help. So I'm going to try. Okay, this planet Saturn, this is new, as you can see, animation from NASA. This is a two-dimensional cube, which is really a three-dimensional cube. This cube is everywhere. It's all over the logos, the company logos. The major religions worship it. I just want to talk about it a little bit. Alright. This cube is in Mecca. It's the Kaaba. The cube, also known as the Sacred House in the Ancient House, is a cuboid building in Mecca, Saudi Arabia. It's the most sacred site in Islam. If you look up the UN prayer room, they have a big cube in their meditation room, prayer room, whatever. They worship this thing too. New Jerusalem. In the book of Ezekiel, the prophecy of New Jerusalem city, where God is there. Also titled Heavenly Jerusalem in the book of Revelation, as well as Zion and other books of the Bible, is Ezekiel's prophetic vision of a city to be established to the south of the Temple Mount that will be inhabited by the 12 tribes of Israel in the Messianic era. The prophecy is recorded by Ezekiel as taking place on Yom Kippur, the year 3372 of the Hebrew calendar. And if you Google images of New Jerusalem, it's a freaking cube too. Now this cube is Saturn, or Satan, if you will. The reason why this thing is purple is because Satan and all his fallen angels are androgynous, and this whole thing is about the mixture of the red and the blue. That's why it's purple. Now the red and the blue come from the Masons, who have a red and blue lodge. And like I said, it's all about the androgyny. It's all about Satan and his angels trying to make us in their image. They're androgynous. They're trying to make us the same way. They pervert everything. That's all they do is mock and rip off and what's the word I'm looking for? Steal, basically. And so they think it's funny to pervert what God does, the Creator, and so they're trying to make us like them in their image. That's why you have your male rock stars and rappers wearing all the jewelry and the necklaces and the earrings. That's why they have long hair. That's why now they have the one freaking emo, whatever it is, wearing the tight skinny jeans and wearing the makeup and the fingernail polish and the mascara. And you got Aerosmith singing "Dude Looks Like a Lady." That's what it's all about. Now Saturn, the planet Saturn, is Satan, because Satan is, we read in the Bible, is known as the morning star. And Saturn is the planetary representation of a star. And whenever Satan was first written about, he was referred to as the planet Saturn. And I can't remember if that was the Babylonians, the Sumerians, or the Phoenicians, one of the very, very, very ancient old school civilizations. He goes Saturn, Satan, whatever, the cube, all goes by the number 9. I'll put this link below so you can see for yourself. You can see a 9 inside this little vortex here, or you can see it right around here. It's known as that's the number of the cube for whatever reason. If you start with the number 9, it's always going to end with the number 9. Just that's proof for you right there. 9 times 2 is 18. 1 plus 8 is 9. 9 times 4 is 36. 3 plus 6 is 9. 9 times 5 is 45. 4 plus 5 is 9. It always, no matter what, try it for yourself. Take 9 times anything. It's always going to come back to 9 when you add up all the numbers.
Except for 0.
Except for 0. Okay. Now, let's talk about how, it all, and also, so I'm just trying to do the best I can here. I'm no expert. I'm just trying to share some stuff. The cube represents space, and we're told in the Bible that Satan is known as the prince of time and space. Now, if we go and look at the Masonic compass that everybody knows, made up of the square and compass, we get the 3 shapes, right? You get your triangle, you got your circle, and you got your square. The square represents space, like I said, and the circle represents time. That's why Satan's called Lord of the Rings. Why we're in a broken fractal reality that goes over and over again. History repeats itself. Big circle. A 360-degree circle, right? 3, 6, what's 9, right? And if you look at a chart, we're also told that we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but powers and principalities in high places. And if you're in a high place and you're looking down at a pyramid, this is what you're going to see, right? Basically an X in a box, and the X represents the cube because it represents the 4 sides of the cube. That's why it's called news, the north, east, the west, and the south. And the X, this is another way of also explaining how the X represents Saturn, is this: we're cut off, we're locked out right now, and the way out, they've barred the door shut. It's another way of looking at it. But just imagine the pyramids, looking down at a pyramid for your X, because there's a whole bunch of different ways of explaining why the X is Saturn, but those are the 2 easiest for me to explain. So you got your X, you got your square, you got your circle, you got your triangle. Now you know where you got your PlayStation buttons. And then your Xbox from Microsoft, Evil Bill, explains itself where that comes from. Now we can talk more about the X here. I believe in Jesus Christ. I believe in God. I am in no way saying that people are worshiping Satan or Saturn or anything like that. This doesn't take away from the story, the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. But this is not a cross. This is an X. This is what makes the story worse, is because they took Jesus and they crucified him on their evil satanic Saturn symbol. The reason why one part of the X is longer than the rest of them is because it was a public display, right? So they had to make one side longer so they could prop him up so everybody could see. This is just like if you were going to go to a doctor and get a prescription, your RX. It's not a cross, it's an X. And if you go to Israel here and even look at their flag, they're a hexagon. Their flag is a cube. You fold these flaps in, you got a cube. And I already showed you, if you look at New Jerusalem, it's a cube, which represents Saturn. It's all the same thing. Now if you look at the X, right? Saturn, all the major armies for Saturn. Here's your Islam, it's an X. Here's your United States Confederate Army, it's an X. Here's your old British Army uniform stuff, there's an X. The communists, the sickle and the hammer. Well, who carries the sickle? Death. Who's death? Saturn. And if you decide not to die for whatever is being asked of you, then Saturn will drop the hammer on you and beat you into submission, because Saturn is the god of punishment. The swastika is an X. The Vatican coat of arms is an X. The stuff checks out. So now on to the next part of it. You have your square, you have your circle, you have your triangle. The square, the cube, also represents a doorway. The pyramid, the triangle, like the one on the back of the dollar bill, it's brick because it's the path out of here. It's the rainbow bridge. It's the rainbow road. That's why it's called the yellow brick road, and that's why the song is Somewhere Over the Rainbow. So you got your square, your cube, your doorway. You've got your triangle. You've got your brick, your rainbow road, your path out of here. And then you have your circle, which is the portal, the way home. And that's the moon for these guys. These demons that come and influence our world leaders, our politicians, Think of it as the James Bond logo. That's why it looks, sometimes it's half open, sometimes it's closed, sometimes it's all the way open. That's why it seems the way how they're different phases of the moon. It's a portal. That's why you have your Vatican that looks like a keyhole. Here's your doorway, your cube. Here's it getting smaller down as you go down the path, your rainbow road, your triangle, and then here's your circle. Here's, and just as I was getting ready to make this video, me and my wife caught this on the TV. You see, here it is here. It's Saturn, the moon, and the Earth. Just like the Big Mac commercial I caught earlier with playing the football with some weird creepy guy, demon devil with all-seeing eye on his forehead, also had Saturn and the moon behind him. And if you look here at the Truman Show, you see, here's the doorway, which there's 2 pillars too. It's a whole other video, but actually here there's 4 pillars. But either way, there's 2 pillars, a red and blue pillar, just like which also is a red and blue lodge. It's a different part, but it just, well, sorry I even mentioned that because I don't have enough time to talk about that in this video. But here's your doorway, the pillars, right? Here's your pathway, and then here's the way home. But you see how like I told you, they have barred it shut. They have locked us out. Here it is, exactly right here. I think that's about all I can get into right now. I think I've pretty much explained everything I've got to say about it. I'm not an expert on this stuff. There's just, when you learn about this, there's a whole other system that's being kept from us. There was a whole other creation before this that we're not being told about. And we know that's true because whenever Adam and Eve were in the garden, Satan was already there. So we know there's a whole story that we're not being told, and it involves some pillars, an electrical arc, and the fall of light, all this stuff. But the main thing I wanted to focus on and show everybody is that this number 9, this Saturn, this cube, and this X, it comes back every single time. Yes, Jesus Christ is real. Yes, God the Creator is real. But
if there's good, then there's evil.
Yeah.
And if there's evil, then there has to be good.
Absolutely. And every time it's an X with these guys, with these armies. So I'm done. It's all I can really can say right now at this point because I'm still learning. There's a guy. The reason why I just talk about this is a guy who's always asking us to debunk his stuff because nobody ever does, and he's not trying to make anybody believe anything either, and he's not calling everybody a bunch of devil worshippers. He just wants to point out the common thread that there absolutely is one. Now, you can see it for yourself. You can put your hands on this stuff. That's why it works so well for me, because this is stuff I can verify for myself with my own eyes and put my hands on. And as he says, this is a real truth movement because this is the real stuff that's important. And he's right, because this is all about our creation and about us and what's going on. So I wanted to just throw this out there and see what you all think of it, and that's all I can really think of for right now.
Research it for yourself?
Yeah, research it for yourself. Check it out. I'm not picking on anybody. I'm not this isn't a bash video. I just want to just get this information out there. So thanks to everybody for watching. Thanks as always to my teammates and subs, and thanks to my wife for videotaping and doing such an awesome job on this. So couldn't do this without her. So thank you very much. How about